Welcome to Sat Chats, the Bitcoin podcast where we chat about sats. Sats are the smallest part of a Bitcoin, the same way pennies are the smallest part of a dollar. We started Sat Chats because we feel like learning about Bitcoin and adopting Bitcoin as your money is the absolute most important decision you can make in your entire life. If you want to continue to work and earn in dollars in slips of paper, you aren't going to make it. So whether you're a pre-coiner with no Bitcoin at all, but lots of questions, or a new Bitcoiner who wants to learn more in an easy, daily, conversational type of way, or maybe a long-time Bitcoiner who is fighting the good fight and talking to as many people as they can, but needs some help, send us in. We will be your reinforcements. If you're feeling tired of talking to people about Bitcoin because they still aren't getting it, we're not tired, okay? Share this video with your family and your friends, and we will help you. So I'm your host, Stewart Bitcoin Maxi, who wears prescription sunglasses to protect you and your loved ones from the permanent orange lightning bolts that are shooting out of my Bitcoin laser eyes.
And I am your co-host, Chris, founder and CEO of Ithaca Hummus. Also Bitcoin smash buyer and proud multi-coiner. You can help us on our mission to build the world's welcome center to the Bitcoin community by subscribing, liking, commenting, engage with us on YouTube. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers as quickly as we can, because once we do that, we want to open up more features and benefits to what we do, and we appreciate you. So
smash the like and subscribe button the same way that Chris smash buys Bitcoin. Each time you do, a new Bitcoiner gets their laser eyes. So we are here today with our guest, Jack.
What's up?
Jack, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We are going to be talking about whether Bitcoin is a bubble and whether it's too late for someone who doesn't have Bitcoin. But before we do, we want the Sat Pack in the chat to get to know Jack. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, what's going on.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. My name is Jack Brennan. I moved to Raleigh about a little over 2 years ago. I'm born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, northwest of Atlanta. Yeah, I had, grew up, parents were together, had a good household, played baseball a lot, went to college right after high school, worked in hospitality, in hotels downtown Atlanta for a long time. And a lot's happened. I'm 33 years old. But now, since I moved to Raleigh, I started my own commercial pressure washing company just under 2 years ago. This May will be 2 years, and it's going wonderful.
What's the name of your company?
Cascade Pressure Washing Company.
Cascade Pressure Washing Company.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Cascade Raleigh.
Okay, and we'll put that in the show notes as well for everyone.
Cool.
When you say commercial, does that mean buildings and homes?
It means all of the above. Yeah, I mean, I do. I've done HOA communities with 300 homes. I've washed all the sidewalks and curbs and pools, common areas, to wash buildings at UNC Rex Hospital, senior living facilities, parking garages. But my bread and butter comes from residential house washing.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm definitely going to be having you come by my house. I think it's safe to say I could probably surprise my wife with a nice, clean exterior house. And I could say that right now, and we could publish this episode. And I think that my wife still wouldn't hear it because She don't care about Bitcoin. You think?
She does care about a clean house, probably.
Got the biggest laser eyes that are exploding outward in all directions at all times. And my wife, dude, we were listening to some earlier episodes of this podcast. She's like, I'm still not convinced. I'm like, please. And actually, I was talking to my wife about you, I think when you first agreed to come on the show, and she was like, you need him to come by the school and give a quote to pressure wash Lynn Road.
I've tried to reach out to them and to no avail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a frustrating thing right there.
I mean, like, I've been there for the PTA meetings and stuff, and tried to speak to people about it, and they just don't ever hit me up about it.
Well, the good news is
they haven't hit anybody else up about it either. It's dirty.
Yeah.
Dude, that school needs some.
I was like, I'll clean the carport where they drop the kids off and stuff for free just to clean it up. It looks dirty, but it's very they need all insurance and licensing and I guess with the kids at the school and stuff. So,
well, she is on the PTA.
Okay,
and she is in charge of that stuff. So I'm going to plug you right in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Like Doc Brown connecting the plugs just before Marty, hits the wire.
It needs to be cleaned up super easy, like all the breezeways. I went there to go to lunch with my girl's daughter recently.
Yeah.
All the breezeways and everything is really dirty out there.
Yeah. And some of the eaves too. So there's just like years of pollen that's turned into like black grime or I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
Need to clean it up.
Let's do it.
So, and is there a website? If somebody listening to this podcast, number one, tell us what area you cover, because we're here in Raleigh, but maybe you cover Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. I'm not sure. So tell listeners where you do work and tell them what they need to do to contact you and get that quote from you. Do they need to contact you at Cascade Raleigh, or is there a website? How do they do that?
Yeah. The easiest way to contact me would be at my website is cascaderaleigh.com. They're on there. It prompts you right at the beginning when you go on the website. I'm looking for a quote. You could put in your name, phone number, what you're trying to get done, your house wash, your driveway, whatever. And it sends, as soon as you submit it, it sends me an email immediately. I respond really quickly. Or you can go on my Instagram, my Facebook. It's just me with my business. I have one employee. So if you reach out to me, I'm going to call you in 5 minutes, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I service, in the last year, most of my work has been 5 Points, North Hills, Cary, Metro Raleigh.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I've gone to Durham, Chapel Hill. I did a job in South Florida, 2 Decembers ago. Huge job for a neighborhood down there. So, if it's a big job or good money, I'll come check it out.
Sweet.
Congrats. Trailer, so I can go wherever. Yeah.
Congrats on starting a company of your own.
It's been cool.
How does it feel to be an entrepreneur?
It feels pretty good. I've been self-employed now for like 20 months.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good.
Yeah.
I have a lot of good support. My girlfriend has been super supportive. She has a video animation company. She helped me with my branding, logo, website. She built my website for me. She's my ace in the hole. And then I have some really good friends who have been super supportive through it as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So how much do you know about Bitcoin?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. I think I first started hearing about Bitcoin in probably 2013, maybe 2015, somewhere around there. In Atlanta, a lot of, I was living a different life when I still lived back home in Atlanta. I was kind of working in, I worked at a rooftop bar downtown. I was kind of in the nightlife and hustle and bustle of the city. So, I was hearing about Bitcoin as a way to purchase things online, that was untraceable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I first heard about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you get any Bitcoin to make one of those transactions? Just heard that it was a way to get it done.
I knew people that were doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew some people that were investing in it as well. Like it was kind of, Atlanta is different in the sense of it's pretty like trendy. You know what I mean? People are picking up on things early out there, I think, as compared to maybe the rest of the country. That's my view on it. So they were hearing about it, and I'd have a couple friends, oh, you need to buy Ethereum or Bitcoin, put some money in it, you know? But I was pretty young and just living wild, didn't have much money to put in anything anyway, you know?
Yep. Did it even sound like anything to you at the time? Like if somebody was like, hey, man, throw some of your cash into Bitcoin 2015, 2016, 2017, you know, because in 2025, it's going to be over $100,000 for one coin.
I think, no, it didn't register to me like that. I mean, 2015, let's see, that was 10 years ago. So I was 23 years old, and I was just bartending on a rooftop bar, and there was not much extra cash around where I'm like, let me put $500 into this Bitcoin, whatever the hell it is, you know?
Yeah.
It seemed kind of nerdy to me, honestly. It was like, oh, whatever these people are talking about, that's not the life that I know anything about, kind of, to be honest. That was my first take on it. Like,
yeah.
But then some of my friends who like weren't, like, some of my friends who were in the streets a little bit more were talking about Bitcoin, which was the thing that did stand out to me. Because some of my friends, I'm like, why is this? I wouldn't assume you would be talking about this Bitcoin that I've heard about, you know?
They weren't nerdy.
No. They were up to no good. I'm trying to tread lightly here.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Yeah.
And I think we already talked about Silk Road with another guest earlier on the show. So, you know, it's a thing. Right?
Yeah.
And they just freed the guy recently.
Last week, right?
Ross.
Forget his last name.
Yeah. Someone put out a little video.
He's out, and he found all of his Bitcoin.
Imagine that.
He found his Bitcoin?
Yeah, all of his Bitcoin is like, you know.
Had it been previously lost?
I'm not sure.
Was it just seized or something? You know?
They seized it, right? Can you put it to hide it a bit?
Well, you know, if your Bitcoin is on a laptop in an unprotected way and they get your laptop, they got your Bitcoin, you know?
He was probably smart enough to have memorized his seed phrase.
Probably.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
He probably had it memorized.
I'm sure he had it figured out.
Yeah. So,
there could have been some leverage there too to help him get out.
Yeah.
Hey, I have 150 billion. I don't know.
Yeah.
See,
A lot.
a lot. That stuff's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
We just spoke to Aisha this morning, and she had 3 Bitcoin in 2009 or 2010, and it cost her like $600 to get 3 Bitcoin. And if she had held on to that, it would have been $300,000+ today.
Yeah.
Literally just buying $600 and then forgetting about it for 15 years, 300,000 some odd dollars.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what would happen if you took any extra revenue from Cascade Raleigh that you could stand to park somewhere for a little bit?
Yeah.
Even if it's $50 a month, get you $600 in a year, and Cascade Raleigh, not even Jack, but Cascade Raleigh, the business, has stacked some sats.
Yeah.
And as your business grows, that money you've set aside goes up.
Right.
And gives you more and more and more, instead of the money you're making right now, which is buying less and less and less.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what the cost of buying stuff for Cascade Raleigh has been like since you started? You know, are your solutions, your soaps, you know, does that still cost the same? Does it cost more?
Since I've started, I get it from the same distributor. So it's been about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Be interesting to ask that distributor how their margins have held up over that 2-year period.
Right.
Yeah. Or maybe if you asked somebody who had a pressure washing company 10 years ago as compared to today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of businesses that hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet
No.
instead of cash?
Mm-mm.
So this is kind of a big deal. recently. And it was, I guess maybe it was, I don't know if it was started by the Chad Michael Saylor at MicroStrategy, or if he was just the first one to publicly announce that he was going to do so.
Mhm.
But when you're a business and you're generating revenue, ideally you're getting ahead, right? And creating some, stockpile of cash,
Wealth, yeah.
right? That your company can use to continue operating into the future. Well, what happens when you realize that what you're stockpiling is losing value,
Yeah.
right? Like, how would you feel if someone said, thanks so much for cleaning my house. I'm going to pay you in 3 pounds of ice cubes.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with those?
Yeah.
They're going to melt away. And that's what's happening to our dollars, right? If you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, so a lot of these companies have realized, hey, we have a stockpile of cash. We're not doing anything with it. Can we buy Bitcoin? And the answer is you can.
Right.
And you're starting to see more and more businesses that are treating Bitcoin as money, the same way they're treating dollars as money. And so you could have a situation where you don't have to go nuts. You don't have to fully convert everything to Bitcoin. But if you took even just a couple of percentage points of your monthly income for Cascade Raleigh, bought some Bitcoin with it, forgot about it, just made it a savings account for your business so that you could continue to operate in the future. If Bitcoin's $100,000 today and you put $600 into Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to $1 million, then your 600 is now 6,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like the money you're making would be generating more money for your business. I mean, how much pressure washing would you need to do to make that $5,400 gain?
Yeah.
And you just get it for having Bitcoin instead.
I guess that's the question of when does it stop increasing like that, And also because my first take on Bitcoin, like I said, I heard about it for reasons to be discreet, to purchase things, but nobody really uses Bitcoin in day to day to purchase anything. It's really turned into like an investment. I feel like more than a means for transactions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like no one goes to the gas station and pays with a percentage of Bitcoin for their fuel. It's like not actually it's a digital currency, but I don't think it's being used as such.
So it's a good store of value, but it's not a medium of exchange that's widely accepted.
I don't think it's really accepted. Not really. I mean, I'm not going to say anywhere it is, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't go to the store and use it, Yeah. You could make a deal with someone and trade them Bitcoin or send it to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like I heard about it as like, oh, it's going to be the next digital currency, but now it's turned into like just this asset, like this value growing, investment or. That makes sense?
Totally.
That's how I feel about it.
Completely.
Yeah, I saw a thing the other day too, saying like Bitcoin is just digital gold now.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of agree with that. Like it's not really a trading currency.
Right.
It's just like a value. Like you can apply value to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What society? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. We could apply value to whatever. Diamonds, gold, Bitcoin. Whatever people think is valuable will become valuable, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot going on there, right? And this is awesome stuff to talk about. There definitely is a certain element of society determining value, right?
And it's also an uncertainty to it. Not to interrupt you, but to common people like me that don't know much of anything about it, I see, I have my little Coinbase. I have like no money in there, but I'll peek on it every now and then. And it's just like up and down with elections and things going on in the world. I'm like, I don't know how safe it is,
Mm-hmm.
like especially with my business to take a percentage of my profits and put it into Bitcoin. I'm not sure that it's going to stick around or not plummet,
Right.
Because I don't have that, $600. I mean, whatever percentage I decide to put into like a savings to hopefully increase, but it's not like to me, it doesn't feel like a safe risk.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to talk about there, right? Yeah. I mean, we could talk about what makes Bitcoin safe, or we could talk about, whether it's like a bubble,
That's what I mean, like a bubble.
Yeah. So, and I want to pick something here because there's so much there. So do you want to talk about why I feel like Bitcoin has absolutely no risk at all? Or do you want to talk about whether Bitcoin is either a store of value or something that can be used as a medium of exchange? Which do you want to go down, hey, I think it's just gold now, it's not really like dollars? Or do you want to go down, I think Bitcoin's not so safe? Choose your own podcasting Bitcoin adventure, Jack.
I think what I would be more interested in would be talking about how it's like a gold, like a digital gold to me.
Okay.
That's how I view it. Because I don't want to say that I don't think there's too much hype around it. It's talked about too much. There's a lot of money in it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that it's like necessarily super dangerous to invest your money in it. But having a small amount of knowledge about it, it doesn't feel safe to me, I guess, personally.
Okay.
To put a large amount of money in, because I don't have much money. I'm trying to get my business off the ground.
Yeah.
I could invest in safer investments for me, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't know, whatever you think.
Probably the safest investment for you is more product that you can use to clean more buildings, because you can turn that into money.
More equipment, another trailer setup. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Employees. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go down this pathway, because I actually think I might be able to handle this one as well. Well, let's focus a little bit on that idea of society decides what is valuable. Hey, we think diamonds are valuable, or we think dollars are valuable. That does work, but only so much. If all of society felt like bananas were super valuable, and you and I converted all our wealth to bananas, took every single dollar we have and bought as many bananas as we could, after a week, what's happening to those bananas?
They're dead.
They're dead. The bananas are gone. They've gone bad. And I use that same example with, it might have been Justin, and he was like, well, then maybe you can make some banana bread. I'm like, okay, well, great. Well, how long does that banana bread good for, right?
Yeah.
Just because society says this is value doesn't necessarily mean it is valuable in a first principles type of way. Bananas, they're not great stores of value because they go bad.
Mm-hmm.
Pine needles, not great stores of value, because if I spend a bunch of money on some pine needles, you could just come to my yard and get a ton of pine needles out of it, and then I would be wrecked, right? It's not that valuable. And even something like a diamond, which feels, wow, this is really rare, and you got to go get it out of the earth and clean it up and polish it and put a lot of work into it. So it's this rare thing. I mean, dude, the guys over at Moissanite have fully figured out how to just grow a diamond in a lab.
Yeah.
So it turns out you thought diamonds were valuable. They're not. Another good example, sneakers, right? A lot of people want to go and get sneakers, and you have whole cottage industry popping up around the purchasing and the resale of various sneakers, right? Jordans, etc. Dude, those go on your feet.
Not those ones.
Maybe not. Yeah.
People hang them up. Yeah.
A shoe that you're not even going to wear.
Yeah.
But if you do want to wear it, you're literally making contact with a dirty planet every time you step foot. So who in the world would feel like that's valuable?
Also, by the way, so like Nike came out with a collab with Ben and Jerry's. They're called the Chunky Dunkies. And I watched this shoe increase in rarity and value at the same time for the better part of like 2-3 years. Then, right before Christmas this year, Nike decided they're going to make more Chunky Dunkies. And they were available again for like $150. So I asked my wife, she was asking me, what do you want for Christmas? I was like, get me a pair of these, but don't go to StockX and get like the $2,000 pair.
Off Nike.
Get the ones for $150. And she did. And now all of a sudden, what happened to the price of those super rare original ones from like 3 years ago?
Yeah.
It's gone down. So, you know, sneakers, if someone can just make more of them and flood the market with a new supply of the super rare sneaker, they're kind of not a great store of value either.
So society can wrap itself around something it feels is valuable, but over time, it will prove itself to be valuable or not valuable.
Right.
When a society wraps itself around gold, it proves itself to be valuable because...
But that's an interesting one too. Like the Fed uses gold like to back money, right? But I mean, why is gold valuable? Because it's shiny? It's not going to break. This is not going anywhere. I mean, it's like just a sign value in a way.
Well, the Fed used to use gold to back dollars. That ended in 1971 after a long period of going from when the gold standard started. The intention was for every dollar that we print, we are going to have an equal amount of gold so that that dollar can be reimbursed for a dollar worth of gold. Over time, they were like, not everyone is going to come reimburse all their dollars all at once. So we really only need 50 cents worth of gold for every dollar. And then it was 20 cents. And then it was 10 cents. And then eventually in 1971,
like, never mind.
They're like, never mind. We're just
like, psych.
Yeah, it's just going to be a Federal Reserve note now.
Yeah.
So that we can print as much as we want. But what makes gold good money, good store of value, is its rarity and is the fact that you can't go and mine a bunch of gold easily.
Yeah.
I think on average throughout all of history, there's only ever been an additional 2% of gold that comes out of the earth and goes into circulation or people own it, because it's been mined.
You gotta go find it
in a year, and it's very expensive. So something like silver, if the price of silver goes up, or copper maybe be even a better example. If the price of copper goes up because it's needed as a raw material input for industry, we can double the supply of copper very easily.
Right.
In 1 year or 2 years. Gold, you can only ever mine 2% of what exists today ever.
Right.
That's just been our experience historically. So the fact that we can't just dump a bunch of new supply into the system quickly is a big reason why gold is a great store of value.
Okay.
Gold is not a chunky dunky.
Right.
You can't just make more of it.
Yeah.
You have to wait for the universe to make it, and then you got to go find where it is, right? And there happens to be a good amount of it here on Earth, but you still got to find wherever it is. You got to get it out of the earth, and then the supply of gold, to Chris's point, is this big. Well, we worked our butts off this year, and we were able to make it this much more.
Right.
We weren't able to go, oh, this many chunky dunkies. We got this many chunky dunkies, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing, the rarity of it and the fact that it takes a while to find. It takes hard work. There's not that much supply. But think about gold itself. Some people say, oh, it's shiny, and one of our guests, Paul, claimed that the top use was as jewelry.
Malleable. Yeah.
But gold is effectively indestructible itself. So other metals can rust or corrode over time. Their chemical structure can be broken down into constituent parts. When you melt gold and it cools, it's back to gold.
Yeah.
And it basically over years, decades, centuries, millennia does not rust, does not corrode, does not go away. It's like just this, it's this crazy substance.
Mm-hmm.
So it also has value in terms of a first principle. This chemical structure, this phenomenon called gold, does not get destroyed. And you can't destroy it. You can melt it down, it reforms, it's still gold, right? Even silver can run into trouble in terms of keeping it clean and making sure it doesn't get busted up over time, right? So gold has value outside of human beings looking at it. It has usefulness, right? So gold is a better store of value than dollars because dollars are chunky donkeys. Since we went off the gold standard 50 years ago, dollars are just backed by the government saying, this stuff is good, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay? Trust me, bro. You can't redeem this for anything. It's not worth anything in and of itself, but I'm telling you, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned Bitcoin basically becoming digital gold. And you're right. Bitcoin is even better than gold because once you get to 21 million coins, there aren't any more. Dollars, limitless supply, right? I mean, during the pandemic, the nation state printed the same amount of money that it had ever printed since the beginning of time. So 1776 to 2020, the United States printed 10 trillion. 2020 to 2024, they printed 10 trillion. They doubled the chunky donkeys. They're like, right? And the supply wasn't 2% per year like gold. Hey, we found 2% more gold, guys. The supply was 100%. That sucked.
Well, we went from 10 to $20 trillion worth of dollars.
And then everybody's like, why did everything get twice as expensive? I don't know, right? I'll tell you exactly why. Now,
it's like in World War II with the wheelbarrows of money, you know?
Yes. Thank you. It's fully Weimar Germany.
Weimar Republic.
Yes. Yes. And during that time, inflation was so nuts that you could go from being able to live 1 month to being unable to live the next month. In Austria, after World War I, one of the summer times in July, the cost of living was such, by August, it was 124% more. People just were like, we can't even live. So, you know, one of the reasons why we want to talk to everybody on this show is to help them understand that even though inflation in America isn't that bad, things get more expensive over time, but maybe not that much more expensive. We can tolerate it. Runaway inflation, hyperinflation destroys people, destroys countries, destroys generations, right? When your money is based on literally nothing. Hey guys, our name is Really Cool Nation State, and we have some nation state skibbity bibbities here. These are some boobity wobblities, okay? Take those, you know, Wimbledees, that's your money, man. That destroys civilizations, right? Your money needs to be good money. And the society can't just say this is good. It has to actually be good.
Right.
So nation state paper, right? Local friendly government WOUs that can sometimes experience 100% supply increase or more, terrible store of value. Gold only goes up a little bit. The supply is only a little bit more. So the share of gold you have, you can count on it maintaining its value over time. Is pretty reliable. That's pretty good. But if you and I were superhuman and could fly to outer space and go to other planets or find asteroids, you know, or clap a giant Ziploc bag over a dying star so that when it explodes and makes all of these super heavy metals all at once before dying, we just vacuum it up and we're like, ooh, all the newly formed gold in this star is ours now, baby. Even gold could somehow, in a science fiction way, conceivably go down in value because the supply increases.
Mhm.
Now check out Bitcoin. How much Bitcoin will there ever be?
21 million, you said?
21 million Bitcoin. It's the world's only finite money. It's the first money that's ever just had, this is all there is. And the inflation rate of Bitcoin over time, it's not going like, oh, and then a pandemic, it just goes like this, right? And over time, the inflation rate of Bitcoin will be zero, none. So Bitcoin is a good store of value. It's actually the best store of value. But to your point, you're saying, but nobody's using it to buy stuff. Well, that's not true. Number one, if you want to come to my house, I'll sell you whatever you want out of that dang thing if you're going to pay me Bitcoin for it. Because Bitcoin is the best money. And there's only a certain amount. So I want a hungry hippo, as much of it as I can right now while it's still being issued, right? We're only at 19.5 or 19.4 million coins. And we're not even at 21 million coins yet. So they're still making more. I'm trying to root, right? So you and I can do a transaction right now. Peer to peer, it is happening worldwide. And it was happening back in Atlanta among your, discrete types, you might say. They were using it as a medium of exchange. I think what people have realized is that the value of Bitcoin in dollar terms is going up and up and up. It's going up so much that as soon as they get some, they don't want to buy something with it. They would rather hold on to it, continue to go ahead and make regular old money, fund their lifestyle with regular old money, but try to save up for the future in Bitcoin because the value goes up and up and up. El Salvador, it's legal tender. All businesses must accept Bitcoin as legal tender. And that's a government decree, so it's unevenly applied. And some businesses are like, well, we don't even know. Can you just give us US dollars? But theoretically, it's legal tender there, right?
Yeah.
And so you have peer-to-peer. We can do a transaction right now. So it's not just digital gold. It's digital cash as well. Right now, people are thinking that it's a pretty dadgum good digital gold. And maybe like me, they're waiting for hyper Bitcoinization where all other forms of money go to zero against Bitcoin and everybody's using Bitcoin. And then I got a bunch of Bitcoin and I can just pay you in sats, right? But it is also digital cash in addition to being digital gold. So that peer-to-peer transaction can happen. Peer-to-business can happen, like person-to-business can happen. And soon enough, it's going to be nation-state to nation-state, guy. I mean, all of these nation-states are declaring that they want Bitcoin reserves. And there might be a situation where your dollar, which is backed by literally no thing, becomes backed by Bitcoin instead. And you can go turn in your dollars for Bitcoin. So it is being used as digital cash. I think for most people, they're relying on it like digital gold. But by the way, gold is cash. Gold is also cash.
Well, let's also talk about the properties of good money, which I read the Bitcoin Standard as suggested by my friend Stewart here and learned that there are 3 properties of good money. The first one is salability across time. So over time, am I able to continue to sell this thing that I call money? If the answer is yes, that's a good thing. That makes for good money.
If the answer is bananas, you're wrecked.
That's not good. Bad salability across time. Salability across scales. So if I have this big brick of gold, it's got good salability across time, but it's not that easy for me to like slice off little pieces of it. You know, I can't sell 10% of my living room to go buy a couch, right? It's not scalable up and down. Then the third one is salability across space. So if I want to purchase something that I literally need to show up and redeem gold for this thing, like let's just imagine, and it's across the country and it costs, you know, $200,000 worth of gold. Well, I don't, like, how am I going to get that gold there? How am I going to carry that?
Is that 200 pounds, 300 pounds? Like, how much does that go away?
If I need to fly on an airplane, I have to declare that, and I can't fly with more than $50,000 worth of value on my person. So its saleability across space is not great. Now let's look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's saleability across time is better than anything that's ever been created. On average, every year it's gone up, on average, 200% year over year. There are now some years it's been like massive. Some years it's been a little less than 200%, but on average, over the 14-year existence of Bitcoin, 200% a year. Better than any other asset class ever created. Saleability across...
And let's pause there for a second. Because you mentioned, hey, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. All it really does
Is go up.
is go up.
Yeah.
So is Bitcoin volatile? No. Bitcoin goes one way, and that's up.
Yeah.
You just got to hang in there while it does it.
So saleability across scales, talking about Bitcoin now. Like we opened the show, each Bitcoin, people get like, oh, Bitcoin's $103,000. I don't have $103,000, so I just can't play the Bitcoin game. Well, that's not true, because Bitcoin divides down into 100 million Satoshis per coin. So even better than dollars, right? $1, 100 cents, one Bitcoin, 100 million Satoshis. Great saleability across scales. Saleability across space. It's digital.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. I mean, takes nothing, easier than cash. Then you add on top of that the fact that it is peer-to-peer, meaning you don't need a bank, you don't need a nation state to oversee and facilitate a transaction between me and you. No one has to approve it. I get your wallet address and I can send you Bitcoin right now. It's the best money ever created. Yes, right now, its most common use case is store of value, digital gold. People are buying it, they're holding it because they know all these things about it, and they don't want to get rid of what they're holding. But over time, we believe you will see these layers being extracted, and ultimately we'll be using it as money, as a medium of exchange.
Yeah, because let's imagine I work hard and put my spare cash into Bitcoin, and I get enough Bitcoin to where I feel like I can be done working, right? And there are calculators out there that'll help you with this. One of them's called the Wind Moon calculator. And let's imagine that I am able to stack enough sats to get to where I have one Bitcoin. And the price of Bitcoin is now $1 million US. There's a world where I could retire, stop working, okay? Month one, I need $5,000 to cover my life expenses. So I'm going to sell some of my Bitcoin to get $5,000 US, and I'm going to pay these people. And now I have, what's that? $5,000, $995,000. Whoa, that was hard. So I went from having $1 million worth of Bitcoin to $995,000 worth of Bitcoin. But month two, the price of Bitcoin goes from 1 million to 1,010,000.
So you got $5,000.
So I go back up $5,000, or I go up whatever amount that is. You know, my 0.995 Bitcoin is now worth $1 million again. And I sell off a little bit to fund my lifestyle. Bitcoin goes up, and the number go up technology of Bitcoin just refills my stores. Even though the number of sats I have is going down, the amount of purchasing power that I have in dollar terms is not. I just whoop. So there are people out there who have enough Bitcoin to simply sell off a little bit to pay their expenses when they need. Bitcoin keeps going up. They sell it. And every time they sell, they get more and more money for the amount of sats they've sold. So once you have your stockpile of digital gold and you feel pretty juicy about it, you can start using it as digital cash.
Right.
You can buy stuff with it, right? And in some cases, you can buy stuff directly. Aisha, our guest this morning, helps people settle themselves in Portugal as like expats and nomads. And you can pay her in Bitcoin. You can pay her directly in Bitcoin. It doesn't need to go from Bitcoin to euros to her and back into Bitcoin. It just directly to Bitcoin. So it is a medium of exchange. So it's got that store of value. Boom. It stores value better than bananas. It stores value better than pine needles, better than chunky donkeys, better than slips of paper, better than gold. A medium of exchange. It's the best medium of exchange because when I send you, like if I were to send you, let's say you pressure wash my house, what kind of forms of payment do you take?
Cash, check, Venmo, Zelle.
Okay. Cash. That one's pretty easy. I've got the cash. I hand you the cash. You know you've gotten paid the correct amount. Transaction's done. Cash is sweet in terms of transactions. The problem with cash is that it is melting. The moment I hand you that cash, you'll never be able to buy more with it than you can in that moment. You need to run to your supplier and say, please give me some solutions now. Because even though you haven't quite felt the effects of inflation in terms of your business yet, you will. You will. And so you need to run with that cash and you need to turn it into something that isn't melting as quickly as you possibly can. And in your case, that's solution, that's equipment, that's trailers, etc. So cash is pretty sweet in terms of doing the deal right then and there. Nobody has to know that it happened, by the way. Nobody can see it. Nobody can track it. Nobody can decide how they feel about it. It's just from me to you, and that's it. But it ain't that great in terms of being a store of value. Good medium of exchange, bad store of value. Check's all good. I'll write you a check. Now you got to go to your bank. You got to trust me that it's not going to bounce. If it bounces, what are you going to do?
I haven't had a check bounce yet.
Yeah, right. And how's that going to feel when you're like, thank you, sir, and you go take it, and it bounces. You're like, bro, I just got written a bad check.
Yeah.
So you have to trust me between the time I give you the check and the time you cash it, that there's going to be cash in my account to cover that check. Plus, you're not getting paid immediately either. So it's like, all right. Venmo and Zelle. I'm going to take my
Venmo.
You get a lot of Venmo.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Why do you say unfortunately?
Well, it's super easy. I just text them my Venmo, boom, it's sent over like that. Well, cash is ideal, I guess. But a lot of people don't pay in cash.
Yeah.
You know, Venmo, probably 75% of my invoices are paid that way.
And, you know, why do you feel cash is better than Venmo?
All right. Yeah. Fair.
Right? Okay. So with Venmo, there is a record.
Yeah.
Plus, you have to send your cash through them and then they send it to you, right?
Right.
So I'll send my cash and it goes through Venmo and then it gets to you. Massive amounts of information is collected about that. Plus, we have to wait for Venmo to be the third party that settles the transaction for us.
So how many parties are involved in that, right? You've got the buyer, you've got the seller, you've got the buyer's bank, you've got the seller's bank, and you have Venmo.
Yeah.
Plus 1 million billion eyeballs that are buying the data that is collected about that transaction so that they can figure out how to sell you stuff. And in another
like 3 emails a day from Venmo about apply for a Venmo credit card. You're qualified for, you know.
Yeah.
Probably because they see tons of money flying in my Venmo.
Yeah.
Right. And the banks too, they have to go, all right, let's see here. okay, so yep, that's Stewart's cash, and we'll send it through the network. And now it's Jack's cash, but it's going to just kind of appear as a pending transaction in your account today. And then by the end of the day, it'll finalize and settle out, and now you got it. Mm-hmm. Maybe there are some fees involved somehow, or, the banks are having
instant transfer. It's like 3%. Like if you Venmo me the money and I would need it in my checking account right now, they charge 3%.
Oh my God.
I mean, I never do that because I'm not in a rush for it, but
right.
I'm sure that Venmo's making a good bit of money.
Let's think about this for a second though. So back to this, like 5 different entities,
mm-hmm.
whether they're people or businesses or banks or what, are involved in that one transaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a cash transaction, how many people are involved?
2.
You and the buyer of your service.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a Bitcoin transaction, how many people are involved?
2.
Yeah. It's peer-to-peer. It's digital gold. It's also digital cash.
Transferable, I guess, easily. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll zap you the sats. Hey man. So, let's say my 2,200 square foot home costs about 500 bilks for you to wash. It's about 1,000 sats per dollar right now. So 500 times 1,000, I believe, is 500,000, right? So I could say, all right, man, I'll send you 500,000 sats. And then here I'll pull up my phone, pull up my wallet. Hey man, what's your address? Oh, it's BC1Q9E. They're big, long strings.
Or just like show me your QR code and I'll take a picture of it.
Yeah. And with the Lightning Network, you could say, oh, send it to Jack at CascadeRaleigh.com. And I can zap you those sats on the Lightning Network to that email address, which is easier than that big, long string. And then squoosh, within 10 minutes, which is the time it takes to commit a new block to the blockchain and verify the transactions, the Bitcoin network that's powered by you and you and you and all these people, right? They'll take care of that transaction. It's yours. The settlement is done. You have that money, and it's just me to you. And if my address is private and if your address is private, we're good to go, right?
Think about this too. All right. So if I were you, I'm me, right? I sell hummus to people. If I took checks for the hummus, I would have to include some kind of check cashing fee for every check transaction. Why? Because it takes time, energy, and money to go and cash that check and deposit it into a bank. Plus, I've got to take some kind of error rate. I've got to tax everybody who pays in checks for the bounced check fee that's going to happen to me 1% of the time, let's just say. So everybody's going to share in that expense because unfortunately, that's my cost of doing business if I'm going to accept checks.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to pay me in credit cards, I've got to charge you a little premium because there's a credit card transaction fee, right? If you're going to pay me in cash, I got to charge you a little bit premium because I still have to go to the bank to deposit that. If you're going to pay me in Bitcoin, I'm actually going to give you a discount because there's almost no friction to that transaction. There is no risk to that transaction. And also, as soon as I receive the value of the transaction, I know that the value of the Bitcoin is going to go up. I don't have to do anything to it. So, and I want to incentivize people to pay me in Bitcoin. So that's just me and my example. Mm-hmm. Right now, let's say 3 to 5% of people on planet Earth understand Bitcoin and its value to society, to doing business, to personal finance, to the level that I do.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to happen to that number? You think
going to go up?
More people are going to realize all that.
Mm-hmm.
So as more and more people wake up to this fact that Bitcoin is a better store of value, it's a better money, it's a better medium of exchange, the adoption rate is going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
So all the things that we know and love about Bitcoin will accelerate.
And don't forget that you finish your job at Lynn Road Elementary and it's 6 p.m. and the PTA can't Venmo you. Okay, sure. And they Venmo you, and that information fills at the front door of the bank until 8 or 9 or 9:30 a.m. the next day. They're closed. The bank is closed, right? When you think about operating hours, it's 20% of the week. You can mess with your money 20% of the time. What happens if you did need that, right? Forget paying, even if you paid 3% from Venmo to go ahead and send it, it would hit a dead end because the bank's not open, right?
No, I think they float it.
Yeah, I mean, no. So let's.
I mean, I'm not sure if it was a huge amount of money, but
yeah, and we don't. So that would absolutely be true, though, if you had some kind of investment portfolio that you needed to draw down on. I mean, I've experienced this, right? Where like I've got a certain amount of cash, but all of a sudden, like I have an expense that I need more cash. Okay, recently I made a down payment on the Cybertruck outside. I needed a significant amount of cash to make that down payment. Well, what do I have to do? I've got to call my financial advisor. I've got to say, hey, I need you to raise X amount of dollars out of my portfolio, which means going and selling stocks, bonds, equities, and so that I can make this down payment. Well, that was a process that took him 2-3 days to do, but I need the car now, right? I need the car right now. So fortunately, I was able to shuffle some things around and get the money from somewhere else. But his process took 3 days, and I'm like, dude, I'm going without you. Like I'm not waiting. You're slow. You're slowpoke.
And if his investment portfolio was just Bitcoin,
could have shoot it right over.
Just you can turn Bitcoin into money like, immediately. It can be day, night, weekend, whatever. It is as good as digital cash, but it is also as good as digital gold. It's as good as cash. It's as good as gold, right? It's madness, dude. And there's one last piece. Not only is it digital gold, not only is it digital cash, it's the digital unit. It's the digital credit. When you watch Guardians of the Galaxy or Star Wars, and they talk about getting paid, 800 credits for turning in some old part of a spaceship that they foraged on a, poor desert planet somewhere. And they're like, okay, we'll pay you 800 credits. They're talking about Bitcoin, man. So the last thing about money that needs to be good is the ability to talk in terms of that money, right? Like, I want you to imagine that you go to the grocery store and you're checking out at the counter, and they say, okay, this is 3 drops of oil, three drops of like gasoline. Like, huh? You can't really price the world in terms of barrels of oil, not easily. You know what I mean? Or if someone said, okay, you need to give us 1,100 square feet of pressure washing. How in the hell are you going to think in terms of that, right? So you can think in terms of dollars pretty easily. This is worth $10. This is worth $100. This is worth $1,000. You can think in terms of gold. This is worth 1 ounce, 9 ounces, 99 ounces. You can't really say this trip to the grocery store is worth the corner of my living room. It's hard to think in terms like that. Or this trip to the grocery store is worth, 1 quart of oil.
People ask us all the time, like, why is the dollar what the dollar is? And the reason is because even in the example where we're like, okay, this thing costs X ounces of gold. How do we do that calculation in our head? We say, what does the thing cost? X amount of dollars. How much gold is worth that amount of dollars? So everything goes back to dollars. Even if you're trying to use an asset or a store of value that could be a unit of account, which is what we're talking about, that could be used as a unit of account easier than like drops of gasoline or bananas. Even if you're talking about something like gold, the conversion back to dollars as the common denominator still happens. That's why dollars are worth what they are, because that's what the world converts into when they're trying to compare the value of one thing to another.
For better or worse, right? That's the world has been dollarized, and that's that's a whole big nother topic, right?
How long is that going to last, though? Now that we have a better alternative, Bitcoin, I don't either.
But it's very easy to say this is worth 1 sat, 9 sats, 99 sats. So easy. It's worth 1 Bitcoin, 9 Bitcoin, 99 Bitcoin. It's worth 1 Bitcoin and 500,000 sats. Like it's just so easy to think about the world in terms of Bitcoin. And I would challenge you to do that thought exercise sometime. Take the amount of money you spent starting your business and then calculate how much it would cost to buy all those pieces of equipment again today. See how much more money it costs to buy a trailer today than it did 20 months ago. Would love to hear that. Then take the amount of dollars that it took you to start your business and go back to that day. What was the price of gold? Okay. That means I would have needed this many ounces of gold, like just rolling up with coins, Wild West style. I would have had to give them 100 ounces of gold. Then figure out today how much it would cost to do that. Chances are probably the same amount, maybe even a little bit less. Then calculate how much Bitcoin it would have taken and how much Bitcoin today. It's going to be ridiculously less. I did this with my home. In 2014, it cost me, to buy my home in 2024, I would need 220% more money to buy it. And a lot of people, they go, hey, look, you're getting rich. No, the value of my dollar is going down. The dollar sucks so bad, I need more than twice as much to get the same damn thing.
What if you took a home equity line against your house and then bought all Bitcoin with it?
Then you would be your own personal Chad Michael Saylor, who is the CEO of MicroStrategy, and he's literally deploying an infinite money glitch
from his 10-bedroom yacht.
I think I've seen that guy.
Yeah.
So,
in interviews.
Yeah.
He's got his company. He realized during the pandemic, he was sitting on a bunch of cash, just like you might be sitting on your cash, right? Probably not as much as he's sitting on. He's like, this stuff's melting away. He's like, you know what, guys? I'm going to buy Bitcoin with it. He bought Bitcoin with it. Value of his company went because his company holds the Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin went so his company goes Then he goes, hey, banks, look, my company's worth twice as much as it was. Can I get a loan against it? They say, I mean, based on the assets you have, sure thing. Here's some slips of paper. And he's like, appreciate ya. Buys Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes, he still has this loan. But now his company's worth 4 times as much. And he goes, well, guess what, guys? Now I'm worth 4 times as much. Can I have a loan? And they say, well, I mean, based on the value of your company and your debt, you seem like a good investment. Here's your money.
And then he goes, why don't I take this whole thing public and start selling public bonds and equities? Same thing over and over and over again.
He knows that if he gets a loan at 0 to 10% interest that he needs to pay back in a year or 5 years or 6 years, and Bitcoin's going up 200% a year, give me your stupid money. I'm going to get some Bitcoin. Then when Bitcoin goes way up, I'll sell some of it. I'll pay off your dumb loan. And then actually the Chad Michael Saylor, what he's going to do is take his Bitcoin, and as the value increases, he'll just get another loan. He'll get another loan. He'll pay the loan to pay off that loan.
And then that's the rest.
And it's like that gif of the guy who's like just guzzling like the eggs out of the blender. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like 500 eggs and he's guzzling, and then he pukes it back up into the blender and then just keeps drinking it. It's, that's the infinite egg glitch. He's got the infinite money glitch, man. So what happens if you get a HELOC and you get that cash and you yeet it into Bitcoin, the answer is your life is incredible because you are taking something that is worthless and you're using it to buy something that is the most worthy form of currency that we've ever created or discovered as a race. Now, we'll disclaim the absolute face-off of this episode because it is it is risky to put yourself out there in that way.
Mm-hmm.
If Bitcoin's price drops, at the same time you need to pay things back.
You get margin called.
And you get upside down, that's not going to be good. And a lot of guys and a lot of girls have put this together. Hey, why don't I just go get some money and use it to buy Bitcoin? And then their time horizon is not long enough. It's not like they can't command the loan lengths or the interest rates that the Chad Michael Saylor with his big fat company can. They can only command regular dude rates.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get yourself wrecked that way. So even though I know and love the Chad Michael Saylor,
Gamble.
That's a gamble.
Yeah.
That's anytime you're playing with leverage like that,
Yeah.
you can get burned. So
Rob Peter to PayPal.
yeah, we don't want to advise people to go out and do that here. But your thought is one that is currently being used by some of the most successful people in Bitcoin today.
and by the way, if your time horizon is long enough, you're fine.
Well, it gets less risky. That's for sure. If you can wait it out longer, the risk goes down.
Yeah.
And I guess if you know, like I do, that Bitcoin only goes one direction and you can hang in there long enough, you're fine. But I am not a Michael Saylor maxi. I am a Safe Dean maxi. He's the one who wrote Bitcoin Standard. And for everyone who's learning about Bitcoin, when we go on a construction site, we talk about safety first.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about Safe Dean first, right? Safe Dean first. Read the Bitcoin Standard where he shows you that a true economy cannot spend what it does not have. You cannot do it. You should not do it. And then you learn to start just putting the money that you literally do have into Bitcoin and hanging out. And that way, even if Bitcoin goes to zero, you don't get wrecked because you haven't taken someone else's money to buy your Bitcoin. You've used your hard work to buy your Bitcoin, and that's it. There's no funny business, where safety comes from. And
So-
that's what I really advocate for.
So for you, with me in my business, it took years to finally establish some kind of capital reserve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you really need to be to do what Stewart was suggesting at the beginning of the episode. You don't want to gamble with your operating account,
Right.
with the cash flow that you need to make whatever, 2, 3, 6 months worth of payroll and expenses. You got to make sure you have that in your operating account. You don't want to go roll that into Bitcoin.
Right.
But after you've been at it for years and years and years and years, and you've built up enough profit to kick that over into a capital reserve account that you keep separate from your operating account, then the question has become, what do I do with this money that I know I'm not going to touch, that I don't want to pull out of the business and be taxed on today?
Yeah.
What do I do with that to protect it and see the value of that increase?
Mm-hmm.
My answer would be buy Bitcoin with that. There's nothing better to do with money in that scenario. What do most people do? They put it into
Mutual.
some fund, some S&P tracking thing,
Something safe.
something safe that's going to return 10%, maybe 5% after you adjust it for not the inflation rate that the Fed reports, but true inflation, which we know is significantly higher than what we're told.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about safety real quick. Okay, most people put it somewhere safe.
Hit this.
Yeah. So, and I'll take some more as well, man. If there's any in there, take as much as you need first. So let's talk about safe. I was thinking about this yesterday. I feel like there are 3 major elements of Bitcoin that make it safe. The first, and I'm talking about from a perspective of Bitcoin is code. Bitcoin is a software
protocol.
It's a program. It's a protocol.
Okay.
It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't get sick. It can't change its mind, right? So the rules set out for Bitcoin that I feel make it safe, or at least the 3 I was thinking about yesterday, because there is so much to Bitcoin. The first is that there are only 21 million Bitcoin. So no matter what happens, 21 million is the number. That's it. We can count on that. The second,
Do you think that creates a capped value per Bitcoin?
no.
No.
No, because the money is supposed to represent the productivity of an economy.
Right. So
And-
fluctuating.
So if the economy grows, then the purchasing power of your money should grow.
Right.
But if your money is something that your nation state can print for free, then actually they get to pay themselves with your productivity.
Mhm.
If their money supply is limited, but we make breakthroughs and the economy gets bigger and bigger, then the share of the money supply you have buys you more and more and more.
Right.
If the money supply is here and the economy grows from here to here, but the nation state takes the money supply from here to here, and then then the share of your money goes, right?
Despite the fact that we're getting more efficient and things cost less to make,
Yeah.
despite the fact that we're making insane productivity gains.
If the amount of cash in circulation was doubled though, since 2020 or whatever you're saying, I mean, I noticed inflation since then, but to what extreme?
Yeah, it's a really
If
good
it
question.
doubled, right? Then shouldn't the eggs that were $2 a dozen be?
Well, I mean, in eggs example, they are.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I guess everything across the board.
Yeah. So
My house costs double.
So what's sitting in between? That's a really good question. What's sitting in between you and the price of your stuff? Companies.
Right.
Many companies are afraid to pass on cost.
Mhm.
So they just hold and accept a
Smaller.
margin.
Yeah. They were making so much money beforehand that
Think like mom and pop shops, like,
$1.50 Costco hot dogs.
yeah. They're like, I can't charge
Mhm.
my neighbor that's been coming here for 30 years to hem her pants. I can't increase my cost from $20 to $30, even though my money is buying me less. So they don't.
Right.
And then what happens? They go out of business,
Mhm.
right? I mean, so all of a sudden this free market capitalism, American dream kind of gets stolen a little bit
Mhm.
by the people who are in charge of controlling the monetary supply, because they just print and print and print and print and print, and they steal those productivity gains right out from underneath of us.
Mhm.
I mean, it's literal theft.
Taking it just they say, okay, we declare.
That's why I like getting paid cash is like,
And you're going to love getting paid in Bitcoin because for every person who likes and subscribes this video right now, just smashes on it for Jack, it's going to get Jack this much closer to accepting Bitcoin for his services at
Yeah.
Cascade Raleigh.
Yes.
So we want the Sat Pack in the chat to demand that Jack start accepting Bitcoin over at CascadeRaleigh.com. Blow this guy up.
Yes.
Blow this guy
It
up.
would be a worthwhile endeavor for you.
Right?
Now the problem is, good luck finding someone who's going to part with their precious Bitcoin.
they're $500.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Robert will pay you in Bitcoin to wash his house because he's probably stacked so much that he can use it as digital cash without feeling like he's going to lose out on a lot. If I had 1 million Bitcoin, I'd pay you in Bitcoin.
Mhm.
I'd be like, sure, here's, so you need, what'd you say? You need 1 million sats? Okay. Let me pull out my billfold. There you go. Right? Because I don't care. That Bitcoin's going to go right back up, right? So to get back to this idea of, well, if I get capital reserves finally in my pressure washing business, I'll park it somewhere safe. That'll return me 10%. What if I told you you could park it somewhere that would return you 200% and be even safer? Wouldn't you choose that? So with Bitcoin, rule number one, there are only 21 million. So we can rely on it to still be as good as it was when we come back to it later.
Yeah.
Rule number two, it takes about 10 minutes to add a block to the blockchain, which is the same thing as a bank verifying transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So if I send you some Bitcoin, if I send you some sats, it'll show up in your wallet about 10 minutes later. No matter how many computers jump on the network to do this work for Bitcoin, it auto adjusts itself so that it always takes about 10 minutes to do the work required.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when there were only a handful of laptops doing it, and today when there are 20 nuclear reactors worth of power, computing power doing it, it has adjusted itself so that it takes about 10 minutes to do the work, right? Tick tock, next block. Okay. So 21 million, 10 minutes. And when you do that work, you get rewarded Bitcoin. If you're the guy that does the work of washing the building, you get the money.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the guy that scoops up the transactions and does the work of putting them on the blockchain, you get the Bitcoin. Okay. And the rule is at the beginning, you would get 50 Bitcoin. Then after 4 years, 25 Bitcoin. Then after 4 years, 12.5 Bitcoin. Then after 4 years, 6.25 Bitcoin. And now, today, in what I believe is the fifth epoch, 3.125 Bitcoin. So the supply is set. It will never change. The amount of time it takes to do the work is set. It will never change. And the amount of Bitcoin you get for doing the work gets cut in half every 4 years, no matter what. It will never change. So those three aspects of Bitcoin are three rock solid protocol level commandments that you can build a house on top of.
Mm-hmm.
You can rely on Bitcoin because unlike the nation state, Bitcoin is not going to look and go, oh, guess there's a pandemic. Let's make it 42 million Bitcoin instead,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or gee whiz, lots of computers here. Why don't we solve it in 5 minutes? Why don't we increase how much you get? So those elements of Bitcoin make it a form of money that's just going to be chugging along.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be chugging along forever, right? You ain't going to find more Bitcoin in an asteroid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better than gold. You're not going to spike print it during a pandemic. So it's better than cash. And all of these companies out here that might be in a mutual fund or, a stock in a company, you would need to become a part-time financial expert in addition to pressure washing to make sure you're picking or you need to go to Chris's financial advisor and have him do it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you need it, it takes 2 to 3 days and you can't even get your daggum Cybertruck,
Mm-hmm.
right? So instead, park it in Bitcoin and you can count on Bitcoin. All right. So let's recap a little bit about what we've talked about so far today.
All right.
So we talked about Jack. Jack's got his pressure washing company, Cascade, the best one.
Cascade Raleigh.
Best customer service.
I believe it, man. 100%.
When you call me, you're dealing with me.
You're getting a real entrepreneur
Yep.
who is living the American dream,
And I care.
cares about his customer.
Yep.
Right? Customer obsessed. I'm sure you are. You have to be.
I am a customer service. I had hospitality background, grew up working in restaurants. I love talking to people. I love when their home is dirty. The one thing I love most about my job is there's always a wow factor for people.
Yeah.
I clean people's house that they're emotionally attached to, or their business that they really care about. And I come out there and clean it up for them. And 99.9% of the time, people are pumped.
Is your Instagram full of the time-lapse videos?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it has to be, right? I'm going to be checking that.
That's
Satisfying.
When
It's on view.
Yeah.
It's on view.
You're bored at home, check out my Instagram.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I love those.
We need a time-lapse video of Jack's face as he learns more and more about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And people will just be like, oh, and like they'll see the realization, they'll see it, and it's either, oh, it's Jack at the beginning.
my head gets bigger.
We actually, it's a time lapse of your eyes starting to get a little glint and then more. And then by the end of the show, you just have laser eyes.
Yeah.
We absolutely need to figure out how to produce time lapse videos of our guests getting laser eyes. So we talked about your business. Bitcoin is the hardest money ever created or discovered. Cascade Raleigh is the hardest pressure washing company that's ever been built. Cannot be debased.
Nope.
We talked a little bit about your first exposure to Bitcoin in Atlanta with some non-nerdy types who were using it to...
I remember I was at there was a Bitcoin ATM off of Piedmont Avenue at this shady store that we were like getting beer at or something. And I was like, what is this?
There was like 7 or 8 geeky dudes just lined up at that thing.
Not geeky dude.
No, geeky
dude.
Sketchy dude.
Sketchy dude.
Yeah.
So, and then from there, we got into a discussion about this idea of, well, is Bitcoin only digital gold or can it also be digital cash?
Mm-hmm.
And we learned today that Bitcoin is digital gold. It is also digital cash, whether or not the whole world is using it yet. But in addition, it's the digital unit, right? It's all three. And we talked as well about what makes it safe. It's the safest thing. Putting your money in something that is not Bitcoin is the risky thing, right? And by the way, getting 10% when you could get 200%, that is a massive risk. Are you kidding me? Holy smokes. So I want to hear from you, Jack, what your feelings are now that we've had this chat about sats.
I think that I have been in a unique situation the last couple of years with moving to Raleigh and starting my own business, that I viewed Bitcoin as an investment, kind of, and there has not been a lot of cash flow to be allocated for investing in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Any extra time I have extra cash, it's been going right back into my business, marketing, equipment, all the above. So I kind of was aware about it, but I didn't pay much attention to it because I felt like I could have put no skin in the game. I feel like this year with my company will be an opportunity where I'll have a lot more cash flow, hopefully around towards the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it opened my eyes a bit.
So Raleigh Sat Pack, go to cascaderaleigh.com,
Mm-hmm.
have Jack pressure wash something for you, pay him in sats, and then he's going to sit on that. All right. Y'all need to stack Jack's sats. All right. We put the Raleigh Sat Pack to stack Jack's sats. Let's go. Right.
Say that 5 times.
Okay. Let's go. Let's build him his own little stack. Okay. Now we are going to make you an offer here in a minute. We want you to make a very important choice. The most important choice you can make. But before you do, we want you to make another very important choice, which is, what flavor of Ithaca hummus do you want to try
Now,
today?
Jack pre-filled out the form, okay, in our Calendly.
Showed it to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he chose French onion.
Let's do it.
Okay. It's the only one he takes, guys. We promise he didn't smash every single flavor because he wants to try each one because they're all so good. He chose French onion.
And then, to be honest with you, like right before we started the show, I was like, Jack, which one do you want? And he was like, no, they're all good. And then I chose French onion, and I didn't tell you earlier, so I don't want to put you on the spot. But we got
I like
French onion here. Yeah, it's gonna be
We eat hummus all the time.
super good.
We
Okay,
have to check out the Ithaca.
So you've never tasted Ithaca hummus before.
I don't think so.
all right.
Okay, so let's hold that up for the Sat Pack that's watching this here, right? And we'll grab yourself some woven wheat. Now let's all try it at one time, okay?
I mean, if you like French onion dip with the
Jack,
potato
he's not trying it all at one time. He's just ready to go. Fat glob. Here we
this
go.
is, I mean, this thing has been all over Instagram too.
Mm.
People are loving this flavor.
Mm.
I mean, Does it not taste exactly like the French onion dip that you have around the holidays with the sour cream?
Like the sour cream white one? It does.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I need to get a little bit more dip. I got a lot of...
Oh, there you go. As I like to say,
Yeah.
Well, so it's got, I mean,
Ladies and gentlemen, it's creamy. There's a light hint of onion. It's not overbearing, but it's definitely there. It's, the fat from the chickpeas is like, it's wonderful.
That's wonderful.
If I had to rate it 5 out of 5, I'd give it 5.
nice. Let's go.
Yes.
And I really do feel like on the lid, you can see the onion has that kind of like slight grilled look to it.
A little caramelized, yeah.
A little caramelized. There it is.
Which
For
knocks
me-
down the heat of the onion,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still like a sweet onion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really feel like, yes, when I do a French onion dip, it is kind of, the white. I go get myself a ruffle chip, and I go into the white dip. It has like a very loud French onion flavor, but not necessarily a natural tasting French onion flavor. Like this hummus to me tastes like it literally has these onions in it. Do you know what I mean? Like it has like a nice caramelized onion flavor that doesn't feel artificial. It doesn't feel like it's been punched up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it feels like you're putting real food into the hummus.
Yeah, we are.
And that's because he is.
That's our secret.
Thank God.
And
Got a little umami kind of earthiness to it. It's so good.
Yeah, that's good. That would be really good on a meat and cheese sandwich with some lettuce, tomato, onion.
Yeah.
Maybe some deli turkey meat, some cheese. Slap that on instead of mayo.
We do hummus a lot at the house for Olivia likes to eat it for a snack.
Yeah.
Healthier snack for kids too,
Oh, yeah.
Put some veggies, carrots down with it.
I packed both of my kids' lunches today.
Way better than Cheetos.
Way better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right, Zach.
next choice here.
Okay.
All right. For every guest who comes on,
Mm-hmm.
we like to compensate them for their time
Right.
and express and show some gratitude. So, we give each guest a choice between this wrinkly ass
Dang, the pink one.
Dude,
$50 bill, this old scraggly $50 bill here.
Damn, that one's been sitting there for a minute, huh?
Yeah.
because nobody wants it. And they're squibbledy bibbledies.
I know where this question's going.
Or you can have $50 worth of sats. Sats, okay. Bitcoin's at $102,860 per coin right now.
It went up a little bit today.
It did. Yes, it did. It was at like 101 earlier when we made
100%.
this offer.
And-
Yes.
And just for the Bitcoin maxis, Bitcoin went nowhere. 1 Bitcoin is worth 1 Bitcoin. While we were talking, the purchasing power of your dollar went down. That's actually what happened. But anyway,
Fair. So
I'm-
so we got 972 sats per dollar. So I'll just do that conversion real quick.
Times
Conversion's a fancy word for, multiply. Yeah. What did I say? 972 times 50. That gets you 48,600 sats.
ooh.
Or $50. What are you going to have?
So $50, that will likely buy you $20 worth of stuff later, or 48,600 sats, which will likely buy you more than $50 worth of
Which,
stuff
if
later.
it continues on track and goes up by 200% by next year.
Yeah, what would that? Would that
You're
be $200?
No, you have 400. If it goes up by 100%, you'd have 200. If it goes up by 200%, you'd have 400.
Well, if 50 goes up by 100, you would get another 50. So 50 plus 50 would be 100.
Excuse me. Yeah.
So your 50 would go up to 200.
Yeah.
Or you can have these nation state, NIMBY puffs. Whatever
Look,
these
go
little
right here, camera. Give me the sats.
Yes. All right.
Now let's get those sats, dude. Oh my goodness.
Mission accomplished.
So that brings our
Give me the sats.
Put this back.
give me the sats. That brings our total record to 10-1.
somebody took the 50 after being here for an hour.
Paul
Must have been strapped for cash.
We're gonna be talking. We're gonna be talking about Paul in every episode. Like this. I'm sorry, Paul.
Dude,
I did like Paul.
And I just re-listened to the episode. I was like, wow, this guy is so nuanced, like
Polished.
He's Paul-ish.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you,
Jack. We really enjoyed having you here. I think it's going to be amazing for you to do a $500 pressure washing job here in Raleigh from one of the Sat Pack. It's one of the Sat Packers, okay? And then realize when Bitcoin goes up 10x that you didn't make $500 for that job. You made $5,000. And when it goes up 10x again, it wasn't a $500 job. You made $50,000 to pressure wash that dude's home. And eventually you can be like, dude, I washed Stewart's house and he paid me $5 million. It's going to blow your mind, dude. Didn't you? The laser eyes are going to explode.
I'm going to call you and be like, Stewart, remember that time you paid me $5 million to wash your house?
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, and it was great. It was worth it, Jack, because he has the hardest pressure washing company here in Raleigh.
Hands down.
CascadeRaleigh.com. So smash the like and subscribe button, okay? And join the Sat Pack, okay? We want you to spread the orange signal across YouTube. Help the algo realize that we are chatting about sats.
Share our videos, man. Share our videos. Come on.
Share them, fool.
Why wouldn't you share it?
I know.
Yeah, Lee.
Not getting enough shares right now.
Why don't you just go ahead and share the video already? Go. Okay? Every time you like and subscribe, a new Bitcoiner gets their laser eyes. And Jack, are these your very first sats that you're ever going to stack here on the show?
This is the first Bitcoin,
ever. So you're looking into the face, looking right in the face, okay? Looking right in the face. You're looking at a brand new Bitcoiner. Help Jack get his laser eyes. Like and subscribe this video. Share it with your family and friends. We're trying to get to 999 plus one subscribers on the YouTube channel, because once we do, we're going to unlock a live show Friday mornings at 10 a.m. We're going to jump in the studio. The chat will be live for all the subscribers. We'll chat about sats. It'll be great. Jack will be in the chat with everyone. He's going to be pressure washing and listening to the show in his ear. Yeah. It's going to be amazing.
Yep.
So help us hit that as quickly as humanly possible. Okay. And I suppose a final word before we leave, right? Sat Chats is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice, especially when Jack is talking about getting a HELOC to go yeet himself into some Bitcoin.
Careful.
Infinite money glitch doesn't matter what your wife says.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate on that one, our guests' views are their own. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks for having me.